Hey, James Fox here with The Path Awakened. We're starting a new video series called Transformation. This is the first of 3 videos, and I'm essentially creating the videos that I wish I could have found a year and a half ago. I spent a long time looking for self-improvement concepts, the experts or the gurus that existed. Initially, I was looking just to manifest wealth and money and create riches. And when I started through this process, eventually it became much more about internal self-discovery, about internal peace and happiness. So I'm going to spend these 3 videos walking through the process that I followed, pulling from all of those experts, all of those books and all of that information, what was relevant for me and resonated, and started to plant some seeds in my garden that began to grow. So I'm going to show you the steps I took in these 3 videos. If you think about what's really in it for you before you jump to the next video or the next thing that your mind or your ego is telling you you should be doing instead of this, by the way, because this is potentially growth, this is change, this is self-improvement, self-discovery. The ego is going to be putting thoughts in your head right now about why I'm not credible or why you should be doing something different in this moment. That's what the ego does. So know that there's resistance there, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's take a look at the before and after chart. The before and after is my situation a year and a half ago. So on the surface, very successful, great family. He looks like he's got it nailed. I didn't. I wasn't comfortable in my skin. I wasn't happy inside, and I had no idea why. I just kept looking. Happiness must be over there in that new house or that new car or that new level at work or that new relationship. Happiness is never there. It just disappears like sand through your fingertips as soon as you get it. And then you're off to the next thing. Over the years, you start to realize that happiness isn't anywhere else. And you start to think, well, maybe happiness doesn't exist. Maybe this life isn't what I thought maybe originally it was. You have fleeting moments of happiness, but if there's an undercurrent that stays down deep, and you think maybe life is a glass half empty, like I used to, maybe there's some past issues or some past experiences that are causing that. And that's where you got to go. And that's where we're going to go through these videos. We're going to dig deep. We're going to look for the root cause. If you look at the before and after of my experience with bouts of depression, with anxiety, with the coping mechanisms or addictions, with drinking or whatever it might be, those things have to be solved at the core of your inner self. And we're going to show you how to go deep. We're going to show you how to do that. So, I want to talk a little bit about commitment for a second, because this is a working session. So we're going to get the pen and paper out. I'm going to show you my journal. We're going to look at individual steps and exercises. I'm going to summarize it at the end. But as you think about this journey or this path that you're on, what is all of the change worth? The change that I showed you, the before and after. What is that worth? How much of your time? How much of your commitment? I can tell you one thing. If you've got pain and you're not happy and you're struggling like I was a year and a half ago, just to keep all the balls in the air, just to keep going, wondering what is the meaning of all this, and where's my happiness? Where's the big hurrah in life? If that's where you're thinking, and it's just getting harder to manage, maybe it's beginning to unravel a little bit, I think these 3 videos may help you. So give us your commitment. Give yourself the commitment and the time to start to experience some change, start to feel a little different, start to think different, start to stop the negative mind and the chatter that drives you crazy like it used to drive me crazy. Change is possible. So here's a word of caution. These concepts are different. They're foreign, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Guess what? It requires you to be uncomfortable to grow. If you're not uncomfortable, and if your mind's telling you go to the next video, run to the next room, go check Facebook, go do any of that stuff. That's your mind. That's the ego. It's a defense mechanism. It's the ego protecting itself from change. The ego is what you have built up over the years and through all this experience. It's the voice in your head. It's the voice telling you you're not good enough. It's the voice telling you you should be doing more at all times. It's the voice that beats you down. So you're going to have to start to battle against the ego. You're going to have to start to control the negative thoughts and push through some of the uncomfortable feelings, which is growth. There's a saying that resistance, it's exactly what it is, are those pushbacks from the ego. You have to embrace resistance and move through it if you can. So here's what I would say. We're going to start this conversation off with starting to open your mind up to different concepts. Open your mind to a new conceptual framework. This is not going to be easy, but I can tell you that if you get to the point where I was able to get to with an awakening, a world will open up like you have never experienced in your life. And it's almost impossible to describe in words, but it is the first time I have ever felt comfortable and truly happy and at ease, just inner peace, no worry, just present in the moment, not worried about 3 steps from now or what I should be doing or what I should be checking or how far I'm behind, nothing, just present and experiencing life and the unfolding nature of things around you. Okay, you guys ready to get to work? I told you it's going to be a working meeting, didn't I? Here we go. This is really the beginning of the process. So what we're going to do is, number one, you're going to go buy yourself a notebook. Here's mine. It's my personal journal. It says personal journey, but it is my journal. This is going to be your Bible. This is going to be what you use on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to really measure your progress. So first and foremost, I'm literally going to go through my journal page to page. I've marked a couple pages that, a couple things that I want to mention, some of the experts that I studied. But again, we're starting off to build a foundation. We're going to build a foundation for you. You're going to start to grow. We're going to open up. The more you grow, the more confidence you're going to get. There's a thing in sports called muscle memory, or in playing instruments and stuff. The more that you start to do these practices and the tools I'm going to walk you through, the muscle memory is going to happen, and you're going to have a routine. And that routine is going to just build on itself. You're going to become more open. You're going to become more positive. And we're going to talk a little bit about the sense of self in a few minutes, and how you really make changes to your personality, get better outcomes from your behavior. So first, I want to talk about Dr. Gervais. He's really the first one I focused on. If I haven't mentioned, I came to this change or this transformation focused on one thing, and that was improving my business, improving to grow greater wealth, to make more money. So this really was a selfish endeavor. At least it started that way. What it ended up becoming was so much more. What it ended up becoming was a true transformation of the self-discovery. So that desire to make more money and to be even more successful than I am just disappeared. I'm not interested anymore. What it ended up being was something that literally saved my life and allowed me to discover my true inner self through awakening or enlightenment, which I knew nothing about when I started this process. So we're going to start with the foundation. I'm going to walk you through 3 videos. I'm going to show you how you find this gift that I was given, and it literally, again, is like flipping a switch, just a complete transformation to help you overcome your insecurities, to help you dig out that past trauma and those experiences, to do some self-healing, that deep inner healing, which allows you to overcome your insecurities, your addictions, the negative thoughts, etc. So number 1 from Dr. Michael Gervais. Before you can ever master your craft or your business or your sport, which he deals with a lot of large sports figures, you have to master yourself. One of the first things he talks about in mastering yourself is rewiring your brain to become more positive. So start to become more present and in the now. You have got to, as a first step, you have got to start to become the observer. You have to monitor your thoughts. Stop in the moment and see what's happening in my mind. What thoughts are coming to the forefront? Why are they coming to the forefront? Do they serve me? Do they hinder me? Is it me beating myself up because I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough money, or I don't look good enough? Whatever that negative self-talk is that you do, and we all do it. I used to do it a lot more than I do now. Those are the things you need to start to observe. Start to get a sense for how you think, and then how you think, how does that make you feel? Start to get in touch with your emotions. So it's the intention, the thought, it's the emotion, how you feel. Those 2 things combined help you achieve improvement or a different future you. So we're going to start to monitor our thoughts. We're going to start to look at the inputs as they come in. I'm going to put a flashy chart here that I developed based on my experience in the last year and a half, called this the cycle of self. The inputs are coming into our lives daily. It's the negative news. It's the iPhone of all the social apps and the comments. It's the political nonsense. It is it's the negative thoughts that recycle from past experiences. It's that self-talk you do, which should be more supportive and more loving to yourself. We're going to start to change those, monitor, start to push those out a little bit, change the inputs. Okay, we talked about rewiring your brain. I want to make sure everyone understands this is not just fluffy talk for change. Rewiring your brain truly is a physical thing that happens that's been documented by numerous medical studies and surveys out there. So if you just hit it on Google, you'll get the authorities to support that perspective. So what we want to start to do is focus on that cycle of self chart, print it out, really start to live in that chart. That is the primary thing you've got to start doing in this out of this first video. So if you can really digest that, really embody the concepts that are in that framework of starting to control the inputs that you allow into your brain, into your ecosystem, that's going to help you start to unwind some of those programs that have been built up over the years. It's going to help you manage the triggers as you walk around that continuum that I shared. It's going to help you have better outcomes or better behavior with your loved ones, in your conversations with coworkers, etc. Then that's going to lead into beginning to change your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about your relationships, your beliefs about others. And you can start to get the sense that this is really becomes it just feeds on itself. It almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the positive inputs help you think differently, start to restrict the negative in items that happen that send you down the wrong path, lead to better outcomes, better relationships. So what happens ultimately at the bottom of that chart is the sense of self, the ego. The ego is not going to change much quickly. It's going to continue to battle you. It's going to continue to be the naysayer. But what we're going to do is slowly start to build your confidence and slowly start to help you crawl. If you can start to build this foundation, you're going to crawl first, then you're going to walk, and then you're going to run. A year and a half in, I'm running, I'm sprinting. A matter of fact, I'm on a path I don't even know. I'm being led. And we're going to talk more about that in video 3. So really start to digest the cycle of self, really start to understand the concepts, really start to get to know your deep inner self, who you are, your thoughts, how they connect to your emotions. And when you get in those really tricky situations, someone's honking at you, screaming at you in traffic, maybe there's a coworker that likes to push your buttons, maybe it's your significant other or your partner at home, and you're having one of those debates or a flare up, and that blood starting to boil, and you start getting that intensity that comes over you, and you want to lash out or you want to react. Now, when you know you're making progress, in those moments, the thought will come to your head, the impulse to just stop, breathe, let everything settle, and then really start to notice what's happening inside of you emotionally, what's happening in your mind. And what you're going to find is that the thoughts drive the emotion, which triggers the physical response, the higher blood pressure, the anxiety, the adrenaline that's pumping through your veins. So that's how the thoughts and the emotions connect to the body and the physical ailments that some people have. So anyways, let's keep going. I think we're in the final stretch now. Thanks for bearing with me. Let's keep going with Dr. Michael Gervais. So we focused in on really starting to create a more positive mindset, really starting to focus your brain on noticing your thoughts, how those are connected to emotions, that's intention, and then that's feeling. The connection of those two items are extremely powerful, especially as we start on the next phase, which is with your journal. You've got to start to build out your vision of your future self. So when we start to think about that, you could literally close your eyes, vision what you want your future self to be. In your journal, you're literally going to write down a side by side. So it's a start and a stop process. So if we think about your current self versus the vision of who you see yourself being in 3 months, 6 months, a year. And if I haven't mentioned it before, you're going to see results, positive results, pretty quick in this process if you follow the process. Adhere to the routine that we develop. Practice the tools and some of the methods that we're going to give you in a few minutes. So as you start to think about your future self, we close your eyes. It's an intention with a thought. You can even feel what your future self is. How do you act? How do you behave? How do you interact with the loved ones in your life, with your employer, your work environment? So as we start to think about your future self, what do you like about your current self on one column in your journal? What are the behaviors that you currently have and attributes that you like? Internal positive dialogue, internal positive feedback for yourself. And then what are those things on the other side of the line that you want to stop? Your future self, the things you don't like about your current behavior. Maybe the way that you react in situations. Maybe you've got some personal habits you don't like, smoking, drinking too much. Maybe it's the relationships with your family or loved ones. Tangible things, specific things that you want to see change in the future. So we have the things that we like and the things we want to change. The more you start to think about these concepts and build a vision for who you want to be, and more importantly, as you write those things down in your journal and then come back on a regular basis to provide commentary on how am I doing a month in? How am I doing 2 months in? Am I making progress on some? Do I need to focus in on others? how's my thought process been? Am I having a positive internal dialogue, showing love for myself? What can I be doing differently? So it's a check. It's checking in with yourself on the progress that you're making. And as long as you're journaling, it's as often as you possibly can, or feel like it, it's going to make a difference. For some reason, when you write it down, it just starts to program the brain. You start heading down that path towards your vision. So you have a vision for yourself. Now we want to write some goals down. What are your personal goals? And by the way, I'm looking at my journal right now, going page to page, and I'm looking at all of the things I wrote down. I wrote my goals down on May 15th, 2021. You can see I'm a year and a half out from the things I wrote down. I wrote goals for financials. I wrote goals for family, i.e. relationships. I wrote goals for spiritual. I wrote goals for activities. I wanted to start yoga. I finally did, and I love it, by the way. Challenge yourself to do new things. Challenge yourself to be uncomfortable. That new experiences, it just feeds on itself. You continue to grow. You continue to open up. The possibilities get bigger at the top of the funnel than they are at the bottom. We may be at the bottom right now in this process that you're going down. But if you'll take day to day, tool to tool, routine throughout your day, and start to do some of the things we're going to walk through, you're going to start to move up that funnel, and those possibilities, you're going to continue to open, and the possibilities are going to get larger and larger and larger. And there's your future self, and you're headed that direction. The thing is, you don't realize is your future self is going to continue to grow and grow and grow as you get larger, as you grow internally, as everything starts to unfold. New ideas are going to come in, and you're going to constantly reevaluate your future self. Instead of being negative, though, we're going to be in a positive mindset, and the possibilities just exponentially they just take off. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. One step in front of the other. Next thing you know, you're at a quick walk, and then you're running, maybe even sprinting. So let's keep going. So back to the goals. Financial goals. Be specific. What do you want to do from a budget standpoint, from a work standpoint? What kind of money do you want to make? Be specific. Family, relationships. Do you have a challenge with one relationship versus another? How do I want that relationship to improve? The same goes with from a spiritual standpoint. If you want to list one of those activities, travel, you come up with it. It's yours. You own it. Whatever feels right inside you, whatever you feel like you need, all of the answers through this whole process, through all of these videos, all of the answers exist within you. We're going to show you how to get in touch with that, how to figure that out. Next thing I want you to do, in 25 words, write your personal philosophy. 25 words, no more. This should take some time. This should require thought. This should require some deep kind of introspection. What do you stand for? What do you want others to know that you stand for? I'm going to read mine. And again, this was in May of 2021. And what is this? Right now it's January of 2023. My personal philosophy, quote, a loyal husband and father pursuing inner peace, happiness, and balance as I strive for excellence. I wrote that down a year and a half ago when I was struggling. At the time, I thought I was just trying to find success, again, outside of me, improvement outside of me, to make more money and have a bigger, better career, and et cetera, et cetera. But meanwhile, what did I write in May of 2021? Pursuing inner peace and happiness. What did I find a year and a half later? Inner peace and happiness. I don't care about the money anymore. I mean, you got to pay the bills. You got to provide for your loved ones. Those are, worldly obligations that we continue to do, and that's why we work hard. But what I wrote down is what ended up happening. The power, the magic of journaling and writing down and having a vision for where you're headed. That's how you get there. So it takes work, it takes focus. Let's keep going. So again, I'm just literally thumbing through my journal here. And guess what? A year and a half from now, You'll be able to thumb through yours and say, oh my God, how did I do that? I never thought it was possible way back when. A couple more concepts I want to give you. And then we're going to do 2 practices. We're going to start to incorporate this, and it's going to be in our summary at the end of this discussion. So we're really talking a lot about personal growth. We're talking about goal setting. We're talking about having a vision for your future and your personal philosophy. You're going to write all these down in your journal. Why are you going to do it? Because you have to learn. You have to take steps, baby steps, in the right direction. And then they start to grow, and you build confidence. You start to believe in yourself. You start to feel more positive, more confident. You start to love yourself a little more. I didn't love myself at all a year and a half ago. I used to, it's a little embarrassing, but I would literally talk to myself in the mirror a year and a half ago through this process. Guess why? Because you have to learn to love yourself. If you learn to love yourself, then you know you deserve the love back from others. If you know that you deserve love from others, you don't have that fear. You're not in survival mode where growth is impossible. You are open and expanding, and you're non-judgmental. You're not critical of others. This is a good point. Let's talk about that right now. So I love a saying that I have in my journal here, and to be honest, I don't even know where I got it, but you have to genuinely love others, but not care what they think of you. Genuinely love others, but not care what they think of you. When I'm going into one of those situations where I have anxiety, or maybe I'm a little tense, it's uncomfortable. Remember I told you to embrace new experiences because it opens you up, gets you comfortable being uncomfortable. When I'm going into those situations, I'm trying to be present. I'm not thinking about the past or where I'm going tomorrow or my worries in either one of those directions. I'm trying to be present. If I'm around people, maybe I've had challenges within the past, they push my buttons or at work or wherever. I'm trying to not judge them. I'm trying to not assume something about their behavior, about themselves. I'm trying to just be present. As long as you're present in the now, there's no thinking. And that's the beauty of being present. That's why happiness exists in the present moment. There's no thinking. So if you can love others, give them the benefit of the doubt, even if they have bad behavior. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they had something happen, you have no idea what it is. But if you can love others, give benefit of the doubt, not criticize or be judgmental, but at the same time, just as important, not care what they think about you. If you get wrapped up into caring about what they think of you, that's fear. I'm fearful they won't like me. I'm going to change the way I behave. There's no growth in fear. Fear is what drives most people most of the time. Regret, fear of that. Regret in the past, fear in the future. If you can get present, control your inputs, slowly become more positive, slowly unwind those filters and that program, those triggers will naturally start to change. You'll start to have better outcomes with your relationships. You'll start to change your beliefs. You will get control of the ego, the naysayer, the negative one that talks bad about you to you. It's all connected. Present, positive, non-judgmental. I know who I am now. I don't care what they think about me because I'm doing the right thing to the best of my ability in every situation. I'm doing the right thing by what I know is the right thing inside me. Where the answer is always inside you. Always. So let's keep going. Next point I have here, which we've already kind of covered, must love yourself with positive internal dialogue. No more beating yourself up. You've done that long enough. I did it long enough. No, it doesn't make you feel good. You don't need it. You don't deserve it. If you're going to have an internal dialogue, have one of love. Wow, good job, James. Nice try. You didn't quite get it, but guess what? You gave it your all. Nice job. Pat yourself on the back. It sounds a little hokey. It's magical. Believe me, it's magical. Possess great awareness of now. We talked about that. Being present as much as you can. And nature's the best place to do it, at least that I find. So this is all going back to the concept of mastery of self. Mastery of self. We're going down a path. We're beginning to walk. The more you do this stuff, the more it's going to help you. 2 activities we're going to pivot to, and I'm moving a little faster because I've been keeping you a while. 2 activities we're going to do. If you suffer from being negative, which I did, I judged everybody at all times. We're going to try to unwind that negative mind, that negative assumption, that negative impulse. So we're going to write down, I did this for about 3 weeks, and then I think I got a little bored of it, but it helped me kind of round that curve and start to make change in the way I think. So every day I want you to write down 3 things that you find amazing. 3 things that someone in your life does that are amazing. Caring, loving, something that touched you. And it's not going to be easy to find 3 things. Maybe my bar is pretty high. But anyways, look for 3 things and write them down. I have pages here of 3 things every day that I wrote down. And it's going to start to help you find the positive in life, the positive in others. It's going to help you love more. And then that's going to come back from that person because they're going to notice that you're doing it. So that's one of the activities I wanted to focus on. The next thing I wanted to do or have you focus on is a few times a day. What I want you to do is I want you to find a quiet place, maybe 3-4 times a day. Try 5 minutes, 10 minutes. As you get better at it, build on that. But what we're going to do is find a quiet place, a place where you can focus and won't be interrupted. And I want you to get present, and I want you to watch your thoughts. Notice your thoughts. As they move to the past, or as they move to the future, I want you to bring them back to the present. So, and at first this is going to be challenging, but as with anything and as with everything that we're talking about, the more you start to do it, the more familiar it becomes, and the better you get. So we're gonna build that brain, that muscle. Talked about muscle memory earlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to build that muscle. We're going to exert control over the ego. We're going to exert control over the mind, and we're going to not allow the mind anymore to live in the past or to worry about the future. And we're going to start to bring our attention back to the present. Gently. You don't have to fight. We're not fighting anything or anybody, but we're exerting control. We're getting back in the driver's seat of where we're headed and of our mind. We're not in control, under the control of the negative thoughts of our mind anymore. That's the path, and it's critical. So, a couple times a day, quiet space, not interrupted, practice. Stay in the now. Not the past, not the future. Gently come back in the now. It's going to help, and it's directly connected to the cycle of self from an input standpoint. If you think about the negative thoughts that come in your mind, or those are inputs, and we got to start to change those. Maybe real quick, and then I'm going to start to wrap us up and do a summary. As you think about controlling inputs, I'm going to give you an example because this is what I did. I took the news off the front of my Apple, off of my iPhone. I didn't see the news feed coming in anymore. I stopped watching violent shows. I stopped listening to most popular music on the radio because a song would take me back to the past or to an experience, and I would get wrapped up and go down this thought loop, which I was trying to avoid from doing. So if something is negative as an input, your phone, the TV, definitely the news, anything you find that takes you away from either a neutral or a positive mindset and open, not contracted, which is closed, open, that's dilate, open up. That's what we want. So now, yeah, I can watch a violent movie and it doesn't throw me all out of kilter. We're not fragile after awakening, but for a period of time, you're making dramatic change in the way you think, and you need to control the inputs. So you find what the right balance is for you, because the answer is where? It's inside of you. Trust your gut, trust your intuition. That's the right answer for you. A few other things I wanted to talk about from a routines and behavior standpoint. You have got to start to create a routine, a daily routine. I get up, I walk my dog, we go down to the harbor every morning. I find myself in nature. I put ambient music off of YouTube in my ears. It's nice, soft, soothing, nature sounds, a little bit of light synthesizer, etc. It makes me feel good. I surround myself with things that remind me of where I'm going and what my vision is. The bracelet that's on my hand has an inscription on it. It says, I'm the master and creator living in the present, future, connected to the divine intelligence. I'm the master of my life and I'm the creator of my future. Because why? I have a vision, I have a plan, and I update it and I make progress on it. I know this is a lot, but if you start to take little steps every day and have a vision and update your journal, you're going to be amazed at the results you're going to see very quickly. So this is the end of our first video in this 3-part series, and I'm going to throw up on the screen here some action items for you. And what I'd like for you to do is really focus on these before you move to video 2 and especially video 3. If you try to go to video 3 at the end and hear about awakening and all the amazing experience that it is and how much it changed your life, you're never going to get there. You have got to go through the process. We're building a foundation, we're opening you up, and you're trying to digest a lot of really new concepts that are extremely foreign. I know. At the time I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose with all these new concepts, especially for a conservative boy from Texas. Anyways, your action items, they should be up on the screen now. Journal everything. Don't go crazy. Never beat yourself up. I think I've said it in this video. If I haven't, I'm going to say it one more time. You are human. We are imperfect. We don't do everything right. So cut yourself some slack, give yourself a break, and take credit and get credit for the things you do right and for the efforts you give. So if you have a tough week at work, or there's a family crisis going on and you don't journal for a week, it's okay. Come back to it when you're ready. But it's critical to your transformation. And the more you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it, the quicker you're going to get out of it. So journal everything. And then the second point, what is your vision for the future? You got to have one. You got to have goals. You got to have a personal philosophy. Remember, less than 25 words. Did you write it down? You got to have daily and weekly routines or exercises. So I put in here, it's called the flow exercise. That's the exercise where you sit a few times a day, 10 minutes a day, and take your thoughts that go to the past and bring them back gently. Take your thoughts that worry about the future and bring them back gently. 10 minutes, 3 times a day. It's gonna make a big difference every day. You're incrementally growing, building confidence, and you're gonna really start to fly on this growth continuum. So that's the flow exercise. What's the other one? If you suffer from negativity, find 3 things amazing every day. 3 things, find them. If you can start to do that, again, you start to see the positive in people. And then before you know it, you're neutral. And then the next thing you know, you're actually giving them benefit of the doubt. And the people that used to drive you absolutely nuts, they don't drive you nuts anymore. They're not a problem. Why? Because I got love, and I got belief in myself, and I got a plan. I'm on the right path. And I don't know what they're doing. I'm assuming they're doing the right thing for them, but I don't care what others think of me. I care about what I feel inside and where I'm headed. Last point, the cycle of self. I've talked about it a few times. I've shown the picture in the video. It is critical. Live it. You really have to focus on it. So what do we do with the cycle of self? We learn it. We live it. You have to absorb that. It needs to become part of your daily routine and the part of just the way you think. It is the foundation for everything that we're going to do. So those are the action items. I'm going to just say right now, I really appreciate you sticking with me through this first video. We're committed to building this community. This transformation series, to me, again, I wish I would have found it a year and a half ago, but I didn't, and that's okay, because I wouldn't be right here right now making a video for you guys. Again, two things I'd love to see from you in return, and it's just two simple things. Subscribe, come back and see us, and then the last thing is, once you start making some progress, and if this helps you and makes you feel better, shoot me an email or put some comments in. I'd love to get the feedback, just to make me feel better about all this time, that I've been committing and learning how to shoot videos and edit and all this other stuff. But it's fun. Learning new stuff is fun, right? New experience. I'm growing. We'll talk soon. See you guys.